In this video, I want to show you how to set up an error logging workflow so that if you have a live working voice agent and something goes wrong in the n8n side, then you can log that error but also get notified that something has gone wrong, so you can go ahead and fix it as soon as possible. So obviously this is super important if you have live voice agents running for clients or for your own business. If something goes wrong, you need to know about it straight away so that you can fix it and make sure that it doesn't happen again. So this workflow is actually really simple to set up, and I'm going to be walking you through exactly how you can do that for yourself today. So for demo purposes, I've set up this really simple voice agent that I've linked up to the VAPI side as well, which we'll be using just to kind of demonstrate this. But basically what I've done is in one of the code nodes, I've just deleted the code that should be working to something that's definitely not going to work, so that we can demonstrate when there's an error with a node, how we can go ahead and log that and notify you. So to get this set up, we're going to come into n8n, we're going to create a new workflow, okay, and then we're going to add a step, and there's a node called error trigger. So I'm just going to rename this error logging YouTube, okay. That's now saved. So what you would do then is you'd come back to your main workflow, you'd go to these three dots here, you can go to settings, and you can see here that there's a section for error workflow. So what we're doing here is just making sure that whenever there's an error in this main workflow, that it's going to trigger the node that we've just set up. So you would make sure you come in here and you select the workflow you've just set up that has the error logging trigger, and then you're just going to click save. Okay, so now that's all set up. So that's really, really simple. Now, what we can do then is send in an execution that is going to go wrong because we've got this code node that's not set up properly. Okay, so I'm going to come over to the VAPI side where I've just set up this super simple assistant just to demonstrate. What we're going to do is just basically trigger the main workflow so that we get that error, so that we can then set up the other things in the error logging workflow, if that makes sense. So you can see that I've just triggered basically the execution. So if we come into executions now, we can see that this is the most recent execution that has now failed because there's no code in this node basically. Now if we come over to the error logging trigger that we've done, so you can see that we've now successfully logged the error from the other workflow. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So if we come in here, we can see that testing is not defined, so that's in the code node, and we have all the information about that error. Okay, so what we can now do is copy this to editor, and we can now set this up so that we can log that error, but also make sure that you're notified about it as soon as it happens. So in order to do that, we need to set up a Google Sheets to make sure we're logging this properly. So I would recommend this simple format. So we're just logging the timestamp, where the workflow was that the error happened, the URL of the specific execution, the node, and then the message. Okay, so you'd set this up, so I've named this error log. You'd come back into the error logging workflow that we've created, and now we can add the Google Sheets node here. So we're going to select append row in sheet. You can link your Google Sheets account, make sure that's append row, and we're going to select the error log Google Sheets, and this is just going to be sheet 1. Now it's going to obviously map all of these columns that we've set up. So we're just going to, we just need to basically drag in these variables now from this test execution to make sure that this all lines up. So for timestamp, what I'm actually going to do is just put in the variable and say, sorry, $now. And what this does is basically when it's executed, when it gets logged, it's just taking the timestamp of what the current time is now. So for the workflow, we just want the name. So you can come into the execution tab here, you can find workflow, and then we've got the name. So we're just going to drag that in. So we've got voice agent error handling. Then we want the URL of the specific execution. So you're going to come to the execution tab here, and we're going to just drag in this URL. And then we want the name of the node that the issue was with. So we just need to find the node that we've referenced, which is here. So we're going to drag that one in. And then lastly, we just want the message so we know what actually went wrong. So we're going to grab this message from here. Okay, so now that all links up. And then what I'm going to do is just click execute step, just to make sure that that's being plugged into our Google Sheet. So yep, straight away. So what you can see here is that now we have the URL, we have a bit of information about it. So we can actually click in this URL and it's going to take us to the exact execution where the error happened. And then we can kind of start debugging it if we need to. Okay. So that's set up now, so that's super simple. Okay, so now we can log, so every error that happens in this main workflow, it's going to trigger this error workflow, and then it's going to update into this Google Sheet so we know what's going on. Now, when an error happens, you probably also want to know about it as soon as possible. So we want to set up a system that's going to automatically notify us when an error happens so that we can go ahead and fix it straight away. So obviously there are a few different ways you could do that, whether you want to do it via Slack, WhatsApp, email, whatever works for you, but we'll just do email as an example. Okay, so if I go into Gmail, I'm just going to send a message. Okay, link your Gmail account, send, and then we can send an email to yourself potentially or anyone that needs to know about this. Okay, we're going to put the subject as n8n error. So anyone reading the emails in the inbox will know exactly what this is about. And then we can add a message here. So what we can do is just put some basic information about the error inside the workflow. So we can just say, so error time, and then we can put in the timestamp. So we'll just put $now. Then we can say error workflow name, and then we'll put in the workflow name again, so that one there. Then we're going to put in the error node, and again we just need to find the name of the node, so this one here, and then we can put in the URL. Okay, we'll pop that one in there, and then we want the error message as well. So the message is just here. Okay, so what that's going to do then is just going to send ourselves an email. So if I execute this step, so we can set that we can see that that's been sent, and in my personal email account, we would be able to see that that's gone through. So if I open my email, so you can see that this email was just sent, and we've got all the information about the error. Now, obviously, you can play around with the formatting to tidy it up a bit if you want to, but we've got all the basic information here. Okay, so that's perfect. But obviously you can change this to whatever you want, WhatsApp, Slack, it doesn't really matter. If you've got more than one voice agent live at the same time, you can link them all to this single workflow for all of your error logging, so that you can go ahead and so you don't need to set up a different workflow for every voice agent that you have. So super simple, but super useful for debugging, especially if you have multiple live agents running. You need to be able to monitor in real time any issues that are happening, especially in the n8n backend, so that you can debug them and fix issues as they arise, which will lead to a kind of better outcome for you if you're running a voice agent within your business, or for your clients if you're selling them to other clients. So if that was valuable, which I hope it was, then hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.